The New York Jets are taking calls about perhaps trading Davante Adams, that according to NFL Network. Adam Jones reports that while the Jets would like to trade Adams, it's more likely that he's going to be released. Adams has 2 more years left in his current deal with a $38.2 million cap for next season.
On Saturday, we got our first big trade of the 2025 NFL offseason. Deebo Samuel got traded to the Washington Commanders, and almost immediately after, on the very next day, the New York Jets came out and said,
"Hey, we have a all-pro wide receiver as well that we'd like to trade."
But it seems like trading Davante Adams might be next to impossible. His cap number is way too high, and the New York Jets might just choose to outright release him, making Davante Adams one of the most valuable free agents in the entire NFL if he's not going to be traded. So before we get to the content, our first video on Uni Diamond Talk, our brand new baseball channel, is going up this week. We're giving away 10 copies of MLB The Show, 25 to a subscriber that turns on their notifications on that channel. And now that we get all that out of the way, we've been on an amazing streak on Prize Picks, making $400 off of our last 3 picks, which proves that my data analysis model works. Sign up for Prize Picks using my promo code Mikerophone to get $50 when you make a play of $5, and follow my Instagram at @theflightmike to see my plays. I also give away additional plays on patreon.com/microphone, and thank you Prize Picks for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I am baffled at the methodology that the New York Jets have had in terms of constructing this roster. I mean, they trade for Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago. He plays 4 snaps into his first season with the New York Jets and then tears his Achilles. He then spends the entire year trying to get everyone's hopes up that he's going to make a triumphant return from one of the most devastating injuries in all of sports. The New York Jets decide to go all in on building an offensive line around Aaron Rodgers. Bear in mind, they had the opportunity to select Brock Bowers. They elected to select Ali Fashanu instead. They signed Tyron Smith, brought in Mike Williams, Tyrod Taylor, Morgan Moses, and John Simpson. But they didn't stop there. They traded for Hassan Reddick as well. And following one of the most exciting off seasons for the New York Jets since the 2010 offseason, the Jets easily became one of the most exciting teams going into the regular season. But we all know what would happen from there. Ownership just demonstrated how hot-headed and impulsive they could be. A few games into the season, and not only are the New York Jets firing their head coach Robert Saleh, but you're also seeing Aaron Rodgers point the blame finger at Mike Williams.
2 verticals, Allen's down the seam, Mike's down the red line. So I'm looking at Allen, he puts his hand up, 3 guys go with him, so I'm throwing a no look to the red line, and when I just peek my eyes back there, he's running an inbreaker. So it's got to be down the red line.
They would then trade for Davante Adams, which was a great trade on paper, but you consistently had all of these moving parts and no opportunity to let him sit in gel. They would demote their offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, as well. And it's just kind of crazy when you just sit back and think about it. I mean, this fan on Twitter says it the best. If you told me in 2020 that the Jets had Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, Tyron Smith, Mike Williams, Hassan Reddick, a 2-time All-Pro corner, an All-Pro defensive tackle, and a top 10 wide receiver alongside Adams all on the same team, and they only had won 5 games, I'd call you a hater. And he's absolutely right. On paper, this is a remarkable team, but it seemed like Brick Johnson never wanted to let this team gel. And once again, it seems like the New York Jets don't want to give this team even a chance. A few weeks ago, we talked about how the New York Jets pretty much told Aaron Rodgers that they're done with him.
Very good. Feel influenced. We're going to feel very good and very strong. You will feel influenced. You're right now not in a very good position.
Which was Aaron Rodgers' worst nightmare, because there isn't really an improvement in terms of situation from the New York Jets, and there was never really an opportunity to sit back and develop chemistry with one another because there was consistently new elements being added to this offense. I mean, we found this out on the day of the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers flew back to New Jersey last week to meet with the Jets about his future with the team, only to be told that the team was moving on from him. It means that he'll be a June 1st designation that allows him to sign with any team in the league on March 12th if he decides to continue continue to play. Given that Aaron made the effort to fly back and discuss his future, all signs point to him continuing to play. It just won't be for the Jets. It's truly unfortunate because now the Jets are in this weird situation where they're trying to rebuild despite having a team that's more than capable of contending. But there's a huge question about this. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers is going to move on, and we're going to come out with a separate video about the potential teams that he could sign with, it's not looking good, I must admit. There's a huge question about what happens to Davante Adams. Davante Adams left his 2025 contract unchanged, and his $38.3 million cap number is untenable. He'd have to agree to a new deal to stay, and with Aaron Rodgers moving on, Adams likely will as well. Adams would like to be on the West Coast, I'm told. Ooh, that last bit's a little juicy, and we got this info a month ago, and on Sunday, we got a bit of an update in regards to this. According to Ian Rappaport, the New York Jets are now taking calls on star wide receiver Davante Adams, open to trading him prior to the start of the league year. No surprise with his $38.2 million cap number. If they can't get a deal, they're expected to release Adams, who could rejoin quarterback Aaron Rodgers with a new team. It's just crazy that the Las Vegas Raiders won the Davante Adams trade because they're not going to get anything close to his value in return for him. Now, if the New York Jets were to trade Davante Adams, it'd be one of those trades where the new team would be handling all of his salary, and I doubt that the Jets would pay any of it. The team acquires 2 years and $72.5 million of non-guaranteed money, and the Jets take on an $8.36 million dead cap hit, while also saving about $30 million on the salary cap. Now, the reason why they're so okay with releasing Davante Adams is because the dead cap figures are the same for a trade or a release during the spring, because Davante Adams has played through a majority of this contract so far, and none of his money was ever restructured. A trade for Davante Adams would look something like a 7th or a 6th round pick because he's currently going into his age 33 season, and he only has 2 more years left on his contract. He also will have a huge cap hit against the team that trades for him, which means that the most likely teams to trade for him are the teams with the most cap space. Now, bear in mind, currently as it looks, the teams with the most cap space in the NFL are the New England Patriots with $127.7 million, the Las Vegas Raiders with $96 million, the Chicago Bears with $79 million, the Arizona Cardinals with $78 million, the Cincinnati Bengals with $68.6 million, and the Los Angeles Chargers with $66.4 million. The Washington Commanders used to be higher on that list, but they recently traded for Deebo Samuel. So fans are speculating that Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams are going to drive around the entire NFL and try to find a team that would take on both of them. That could very well be the case if a team like the New York Giants wanted to take a flyer on both of them, but the problem is that the Giants only have like $48 million of cap space, so they'd have to hope that Davante Adams gets outright released in order for this to go down, and they'd have to hope that both Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers take on significantly less money than they have ever had throughout their careers to join them. To do that, to play in the most competitive division in the NFC East, where the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles are there, alongside with the Washington Commanders that made it to the NFC Championship and still have $64 million in cap space to improve their team, I just don't know if that's a recipe for one last Super Bowl and your last dance. My personal opinion is Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers' situations are vastly different. Aaron Rodgers has like 1, maybe 2 years left of playing football, and my assumption is he's going to crash and burn this season with whatever team he decides to go to, and I hope I'm wrong because I'd love to continue making content on this guy, but it's just the truth. But in the case of Davante Adams, since I believe it's so difficult to trade him, he's probably going to get outright released, and he's going to get to choose what team he wants to play for next. Davante Adams has flirted with the idea of joining the Green Bay Packers again.
My mind open to, wherever. Obviously the Packers are a great team, and if they felt like that was a possibility for me, and like I said, I'm still with the Jets, so I can't be out here talking about going to other teams. Of course. Obviously this is going to be an interesting offseason, one that's been different than any one that I've had in the past. So talking about potential landing spots is obviously a little bit different this time. So I don't know. We'll see, but definitely keeping an open mind.
Jordan Love has already implied that he would love to play with Davante Adams.
Class coming in, so you got to find ways with the guys you have in that building to do some great things and to come together and gel. So, no, like I said, I love that group. They do some phenomenal things, and if we add a guy, we add a guy. If we don't, we don't. So we'll see.
What if it's a guy who has my last name?
I'm not mad about it.
You're not mad about it. I mean, he speaks
it.
very highly of you. He truly holds you in the highest regard, Jordan.
No, Davante, that's my guy.
And personally, this would be the best situation for him because he would be the #1 wide receiver in this offense. There is familiarity with Matt LaFleur's offense. There's even familiarity with Jordan Love. This would be a remarkable situation for Davante Adams. He'd pretty much fill in the void that Christian Watson's consistently leaving behind for the Green Bay Packers because he's always injured. Romeo Doubs is a huge question mark in terms of health as well. And with Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs, you could easily craft one of the most underrated offenses in the entire NFL. Another team to look out for would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were pursuing Brandon Ayuk last year. There's a huge question mark in regards to their quarterback position. Are they going to run it back with Russell Wilson? Are they going to continue forward with Justin Fields? But there's a lot of respect between Davante Adams and Coach Mike Tomlin. And I love a wide receiver room that includes Van Jefferson, Davante Adams, and George Pickens. Maybe Davante Adams could be the positive role model that George Pickens needs in order to succeed in the NFL. A crazy team that could potentially sign Davante Adams if he gets released is the Washington Commanders. I know they just traded for Deebo Samuel, but imagine a wide receiver room of Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and Davante Adams. Now, problem here is Davante Adams would have a remarkable opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl. The Washington Commanders have a terrifying defense and clearly an up-and-coming offense. Adams' role would regress tremendously, but if we saw the Houston Texans trade for Stephon Diggs last year, despite having Nico Collins, John Mechie, and Tank Dell, then I honestly think anything is possible. But my top contender for Davante Adams would be none other than the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers desperately need a wide receiver. They have a solid run game, but their offense kind of has one arm tied behind its back because Justin Herbert doesn't really have a wide receiver that he could trust. Herbert had one of his best seasons to date this past year in terms of efficiency. He threw for 3,870 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions, which is a far cry from his sophomore season when he threw for over 5,000 yards, 38 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. I feel like you could get that 2021 iteration of Justin Herbert back if you get him a wide receiver like Davante Adams. Either way, it should be very interesting to see how this all shakes out. Personally, I'm going to put my money on the Los Angeles Chargers, but at the end of the day, I think we could all agree on one thing. Brick Johnson clearly has no idea how to run the New York Jets, and I really feel bad for Jets fans. If I was in this situation, I would give this team one more chance. But it seems like the Jets have other plans, and I honestly don't think any of their other plans are going to be better than just running it back one more time. Apart from that, I don't know if you guys heard Deebo Samuel just got traded to the Washington Commanders. We have a completely separate video on that, and I'm going to leave it in the end screen to meet you guys there. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.